But one of the things that we should perhaps think about is the way in which these stories aren't aberrations to how we understand American society. And we need to actually start thinking about them as part and parcel of a tradition in American society. Something that we do quite well as a nation is corral and subordinate. And so the idea of subordination is something I think runs through all three of the panelists in terms of the main themes. It's not so much always extermination, but if we can keep you at a certain level, that means subordinate you, keep you stuck at a certain level, then we have mastery over you, then we control elements of your destiny, if not your entire destiny. So these issues overlap in a myriad ways, precisely because of the tradition that is practiced so well in American society. But I would just really want to drive that home, that this is part of a tradition that we have in this country. It's not an accident. The other part is that I want to highlight some of the work that students here have been doing, building awareness across bars is an example of that. The folks who organized this, Jamie and Ari Cohen, and others who organized this meeting. This should be part of stuff that we do regularly here at the college. One of the things that we started up, my colleague Margaret Cerullo, Carol Lynch, and others have been talking about radical voices in the age of Obama. And this is part of that, looking at the way in which presidential policy, congressional policy around immigration, we need to really put these type of voices that we're hearing today more on the front instead of the back, and really put pressure on our political apparatus to make some changes in this regard. But this is something that is ongoing, it's continuous, and it's going to take a mixture of reform efforts and some more radical efforts as well. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I also said a silent prayer for a colleague from Immigrants College, because I don't know how you could sit through behind the scenes with the Minutemen. But the point that she raises about how the idea of nativism can draw people from across racial lines was indicative back in 2005. And I forget the man's name, I'm still struggling. But African-American rabid nativist who was marching around Leimert Park, which is the Crenshaw district in LA, if you know anything about LA. And basically going out and trying to recruit people to defend the border, to run immigrants off of the streets of LA. And he, as a black person, thought that it was his duty as an American to do so. And so it's really, this thing is really, really vast and really, really complicated. And it goes across class lines as well as race and obviously gender. But we really need to think about these things on a global level, but also what we're doing locally. So I just wanted to put that out there. I commend you all for the work that you're doing. I taught a course called Warfare in the American Homeland, and I think that warfare was the apt theme for that, the way we think about the politics of containment, subordination, and imprisonment. So just wanted to put that out there.
In a lot of places, but it is binding in some places, where the local police stick to public safety in their local community and don't try to enforce federal regulations, ICE, detention, immigration, all of this. And I just want to read a couple sentences from this this model ordinance that we're working right now, that in solidarity with immigrants, we're working with some legal organizations to make it specific to this area. We're looking at Amherst, but obviously Springfield needs it if we said that they call ICE really quick. So the Constitution and the Bill of Rights ensure the rights of all law-abiding Americans to be free from arbitrary state scrutiny, surveillance, searches, interrogations, seizures, or arrest. And this just got recently upheld in a Supreme Court decision that it applies to undocumented. Can you say a little bit about that case? It ensured the right to attorney, right?
That was from yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, day before. Yeah, I'm trying to remember that. I
Well, anyway, we have rights.
This was the case that the Supreme Court decided, I think, on Tuesday, that an immigrant who hadn't been told by his lawyer that pleading guilty to having, I think he had 25 pounds of marijuana in his car or something. His lawyer told him to plead guilty to this because he'd get a reduced sentence, but the lawyer never said that there's a mandatory deportation that happens if you're a green card holder and not a U.S. citizen. So this guy challenged the deportation on the ground. Well, not really the deportation. What he did was he alleged that he didn't have effective assistance of counsel because his lawyer was so incompetent that she didn't tell him that he would be deported if he pleaded guilty. And the Supreme Court, surprisingly, by a 7-2 decision, and you can imagine who the two were, ruled in his favor, which I was actually rather surprised by.
So we've got that, and then another part of this ordinance is that public trust in law enforcement officers and their reciprocal respect for the rule of law are vital to promoting safety. And if people have questions about sanctuary status and what that means for residents being comfortable talking to police, you know, reporting abuse, reporting workplace abuse, reporting all kinds of things, is really scary if you don't have documents, and so tons of stuff goes unreported. And federal agencies responsible for collecting domestic intelligence have repeatedly and systematically violated the law by exceeding their authorities. So these are just a few things that this ordinance tries to address. But I'd like to open it up to any questions for us.